Alright, let's go for round 2.
How you get so big that you hold of this kind?
So this is a follow-up to a previous video, just simply called, Is Star Wars Too Political? As a part 2, I would highly recommend checking out part 1 to see what I talked about there before continuing on. But if not, welcome, we're glad to have you anyway. I will also say, if you're interested in commentary on Canto Bight, I also did a video on Finn and Canto Bight and the purpose that it served the story in The Last Jedi. You might want to click on that as well, or you could not. It's all good either way. But I really want to get into this concept of is Star Wars too political? And I want to talk about it in terms of Canto Bight, because I've heard a lot of people bring up Canto Bight as an example of this kind of politically motivated part of The Last Jedi, and I think it's an important thing to get to. As a quick summation of what you would have seen in the other video, I basically want to get into the key idea I have here, which is Star Wars is very political, but it's not necessarily topical. So I was distinguishing between the two things. So I was saying that Star Wars is very much about politics, and you can't escape politics in Star Wars because it's about war. But I mean that in a very grand archetypal scale, in the same way that Star Wars is very archetypal with its hero characters and its mentor characters and its villain characters and its tragedies and all of that sort of thing. But Star Wars isn't particularly topical. So I talked a lot about the kind of political things from the prequel trilogy and how they absolutely referenced things that were going on as the prequels were coming out, but you didn't need to know what those things were in order to understand the film. I actually realized after doing that last video, I was kind of talking about it as if the prequel trilogy was the first political Star Wars, but a lot of people have since made me realize that I guess the Ewoks were like a statement on Vietnam or something. So if that's true, that's the exact point I'm trying to make, is that I guess Return of the Jedi was topical, but in 2018, to me, But anyway, enough about Return of the Jedi, we're here to talk about Canto Bight. I've said before that we're kind of having the semantics battle when we talk about things being political. I'm going to make another semantical point here. I'm not really sure what's political about Canto Bight, because on the surface it seems to be making a statement on rich people, and rich is not a political party. And before you leave me some witty, hilarious comment about how rich is a political party, just remember that neither Hollywood nor Wall Street is hurting for meal money. But rich is a socioeconomic thing, so then Star Wars is just getting socio-economical. But again, that's a semantics point. I totally know what people are talking about when they say that. What I would say is, if you take issue with Canto Bight, and if you think that there's some sort of commentary, statement, moral about Canto Bight, I would challenge you to watch it, and I would challenge you to pay attention to all of it. Because I think what happened is a lot of people kind of took it at face value at the beginning, and didn't stick with the storyline the entire way through. We as fans are often shown through Rose's eyes. Rose is the literal fan. She meets Finn and she's like, oh, you're the Finn. And you know, there's a very obvious parallel that she is swooning over Finn in the same way we would swoon over John Boyega, because she's the fan. She's the kind of underling in the Resistance that's looking up to these Resistance heroes. And she goes to Canto Bight, and Finn is like, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen. Like, how can you hate it? This place is great. And she immediately points out to Finn how ugly Canto Bight really is. There's slavery, child slavery specifically, animal abuse. She explains how all of these people have gotten rich off of war. And she talks about how she wishes she could tear up this terrible, beautiful town. Later on, they do. Finn and Rose tear up that beautiful town. They ride on a Fathier and break windows and crash into things and just do all of this, like, vandalistic stuff in the name of escaping, of course. But I think there's something going on there, that they're getting it back, man. They're just like, except for no one on Canto Bight cares, because they're all rich and they can just replace the windows. That whole sequence does absolutely nothing for anyone in the galaxy. You want to know what else does absolutely nothing for anyone in the galaxy? The entire Canto Bight sequence. Now, this is not where I start tearing into Canto Bight or telling you how it's useless to the film. To the contrary, I think Canto Bight is radically important to what The Last Jedi is trying to say. In fact, in the Canto Bight video that I talked about at the beginning of this one, I say that Canto Bight is really important to the story, but not necessarily to the plot. And if you want to see me elaborate on that, please watch the other video. I don't want to bore anyone about that here. There's a running theme through The Last Jedi of the difference between being a hero and looking like a hero. It's the whole point of Poe's arc. Poe is like, no, I'm gonna go do something, I'm gonna affect change, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fight the stuff, and we're gonna be heroes, and maybe some of us sacrifice ourselves, but we did something and it felt good. And Leia's like, what the frick, dude? You just got us all shot. That's the point of Canto Bight. The whole point of going to Canto Bight was not just Poe, but Finn and Rose, by the way. So a lot of, this is another kind of political thing I hear a lot about, that Holdo is the woman yelling at the man and telling him that the man is stupid. You want to know what? Rose went to Canto Bight too. So Holdo is yelling at another woman as much as she's yelling at two men. So just chill on that point for a little bit, please. Rose, as well as Poe and Finn, get this elaborate plan because they want to be heroes. For all the love or hate for Rose Tico, she absolutely has a character arc, and it's one that I've only kind of come to understand. In fact, I don't think it's one that I recognized in some of my past videos until I've kind of talked to people more and had kind of come to realize more about what her character's about. You might see kind of an evolution on how I refer to her character if you go back to my older stuff, so just to explain the discrepancy there. But Rose absolutely has an arc, and hers is one of, I want to put a fist through this town, and I want to do the thing that feels good. Then they go to Canto Bight. Then they do the thing that feels good, and then they almost get caught. They do get caught, but when they escape, and they tear up the town, they almost get caught again, and it does absolutely nothing but kill some time. And then they get rescued by DJ and BB-8. DJ, a criminal who would later betray them, and BB-8, who's the only person on that mission who's apparently taking it seriously at all. I mean, Rose and Finn, who are out to save the Resistance and bring goodness to the galaxy, abandoned BB-8 and just left him there so that they could go right around a town. They are not thinking big picture at all when they tear up Canto Bight. Canto Bight, that whole chase sequence is meant to feel good, and then when it's done, make you realize, oh, the thing that feels good doesn't always work, does it? That's the point of that sequence. That's the point of that chase scene. That's the point of the Canto Bight storyline. Canto Bight is not a commentary on the rich per se, and yes, there is a commentary on the rich in it, but it's not the sole purpose. The point of Canto Bight is saying that just getting that punch in so you feel better doesn't lead to anything, and it doesn't help, and sometimes it makes things worse. If Finn and Rose and BB-8 didn't go to Canto Bight, they never would have met DJ, and DJ is the only reason why the First Order knew about Holdo's plan. So Holdo's plan very well could have worked, and they could have hidden out on Crate, and it would have been fine. In fact, the only thing that would have been different was then Luke would never have had to show up and done the holo projection thing. Then he probably wouldn't have had to sacrifice himself, and he probably wouldn't have had to die at the end of The Last Jedi. In fact, Rose's arc, which I mentioned before, ends with Rose figuring this out. Rose figures out that you can't just lash out and expect things to get done. We see that at the end of The Last Jedi when Finn, who is finally like a hero for the Resistance now, is gonna go and just destroy the gun thing. He's gonna fly into the gun like it's Independence Day, and he's telling them that he's back, and he's gonna fly in the thing, and it's gonna blow up, and then Rose is like, no, we're not gonna do that anymore. Now, yes, there's a commentary on the rich in Canto Bight, but it is brought full circle. Finn is all like, they sell ships to the First Order, and then DJ's all like, actually they sell X-Wings to the Resistance too, honey bunch. And a lot of people didn't like that. They felt like it was too heavy-handed somehow. Here's the thing. Canto Bight is filled with rich people, and the First Order is filled with rich people. You want to know what else? The Rebellion? Founded by rich people. In fact, founded by actual royalty. The leader of the rebellion was Princess Leia. You want to go back to Legends, which is where everyone apparently wants to go back to all the time, you go back to Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and Garm Bel Ibis. 3 frickin' rich people. Want to know who else was rich? Padme. Oh, I'm sorry, Queen Amidala. She was rich. In fact, I just heard back from my economics specialist. She was, I think the correct term is, really frickin' rich. So yeah, Canto Bight has rich people, so do all the good guys. The rebellion wouldn't exist if it wasn't for rich people. All those scruffy underlings who were fighting for the good fight and just doing what feels good were funded by people who ruled over other people. Like, the difference isn't that someone's rich and someone's poor. The difference is that someone's a good person and someone's a bad person. The difference is some people use their wealth for good and some people use their wealth for bad. That's the real moral. Because really, at the end of the day, Star Wars is about power. Power be it the Force, power be money, power be politics. It's about power. And it's about using the power you have within yourself, whatever it is, for the good of others to the best of your ability to do it. It's not about how some power is good and some power is bad. Okay, I think we're at time again, and that's kind of all I really had to say about that. Hopefully that made some sort of sense. It's a bit rantier, and sometimes I kind of go off or forget things when I'm ranting, so thank you for sticking with me. Please leave a comment on what you have to say. I really like discussing this with you. Make sure you're following us at Port Haven Forums on Twitter. Visit port-haven.com for even more, and until next time, keep it real and fly casual.
Cooking candy bar.